I finished with the bronzes. Took me an hour and a half to go through. With the audio guide, there's a lot to see here. It's quite good. Now we're doing sculpture, visual art, 3 dimensions, generally esteemed the purest of art forms. Ancient sculptural arts of China, with Buddhist sculpture as their most distinguished representative, have a long tradition and unique character, and occupy a prominent place in the history of world sculpture. In particular, the Buddhist sculpture of Northern and Southern dynasties and of the Sui and Tang dynasties, 5th to 9th centuries, represents a dazzling peak in the developmental history of Chinese sculpture. This exhibition of Buddhist sculpture in stone presented by the Poly Art Museum brings together some of the finest masterpieces of Buddhist sculpture in the period. See 56.
Three statues of Buddha, Eastern Wei Dynasty, 534 to 550. The 3 statues of Buddha with a back screen have been perfectly preserved, except its broken top section featuring 2 flying apsara sculptures. With an exceedingly high level of art and technology, the exquisitely carved statues as a whole is one of the largest and best preserved back screen statues of the highest artistic quality of Qingzhou in Eastern Wei Dynasty that have been discovered to date. It is an exceedingly exquisite work of art, which is rare all over the world. With narrowly opened eyes, thin, long curved eyebrows, and slightly closed mouth, the major Buddha standing in the middle is smiling with a slightly upturned mouth and making fear not, and which granting mudras with his hands. On both sides of the Buddha is upside hanging a dragon with lotus stalks and lotus leaves in their mouth, and a lotus throne on their heads. On the lotus thrones are standing 2 attendant bodhisattvas in long skirts with coronets on their heads, smiles on their oblong faces, and musical instruments in their hands. What is rare to see is the paradoxical unity of the stark differences among the embellishments of the 2 attendant bodhisattvas. The 2 dragons beside the Buddha, and the lotus stalks and lotus leaves in the dragon's mouth. The images of Buddha, Bodhisattva, dragons, and flying apsaras are all carved in high relief with mellow and majestic techniques. Standing statue of attendant bodhisattva, Northern Qi Dynasty, 550 to 577. Different from those after the Song and Yuan dynasties, the Buddha and Bodhisattva statues before the Sui and Tang dynasties were still celestial deities at a considerable distance from the secular world, especially the statues of Bodhisattva, whose posture tended to be overcautious more or less. However, this white marble statue of Bodhisattva of the Northern Qi dynasty is different from the rest, for its amiable posture of vividness and elegance. With a round headlight behind its head, which is turning to the left, the 3-dimensional statue of Bodhisattva with a smile has a plump face, 2 slightly protruding narrow eyes, and a concave mouth. The statue with broad massive shoulders is sticking out the chest. Except for the hem of the kasaya, the garment is carved with no patterns. With the palms put together and the hands under the right side of the neck, the body with full plump arms is twisted obviously and standing on tiptoe on a round unipetalous lotus throne. This bodhisattva statue in a strange posture remains to be the single one among the Bodhisattva statues before the Sui and Tang dynasties. The superb carving techniques and the application of the ingenious use of color widely employed in jade carving of the Bodhisattva statue are worthy of admiration as well. The preservation of the original coarse rock coating of the hem of the kasaya and some other parts adds more texture to the garment, which serves to be the only case in the stone statues of Buddha.
Two standing bodhisattvas with colored painting and applied gold. Northern Chi. Figure of Buddha and two bodhisattvas with colored painting, Northern Way. '54.
Exhibition Hall of Buddha Statue. Standing statue of Bodhisattva. Late Northern Wei Dynasty, 386 to 534 to Eastern Wei Dynasty, 534 to 550. Solemnity and amiability appear indistinctly on the three-dimensional Bodhisattva statue, whose exquisitely carved head shows the appearance of a moderately palm face, long eyebrows, narrow eyes, a straight nose, and two big ears, as well as a reticent expression. With its most vivid curved eyebrows and the trace of smile around its small mouth, the statue is one of the most exquisite Bodhisattva statues during the same period that have been discovered until now. Sumptuousness can be reflected in the overall embellishment of the Bodhisattva statue as well, with his hair combed into a bun and a coronet on his head. The Bodhisattva wears on the upper part of his body a gown draped slantingly over the left shoulder. The front part of the gown is bound at his belt in the shape of 3 layers of hanging lines. On the lower part of his body is a pleated skirt, and on his shoulders are ornaments in the shape of a round pie, with 2 layers of tassels hanging below. The jewel necklace of jade pearls, coral from the back of his head around his neck is quite magnificent and gorgeous.
'58.
Standing statue of Bodhisattva with headlight, Eastern Wei Dynasty, 534 to 550. Behind the head of three-dimensional Bodhisattva statue is a large circular headlight. The lotus with upward petals embossed on which shows the higher status of the Bodhisattva compared with the others. With his extended superciliary ridges, uplifted nose ridge, moderately upturned mouth, 2 eyes looking at the front horizontally, and the neck slightly moving back, the Bodhisattva of fine delicate features take on an amiable and cheerful expression. With his right elbow bended upward and something in the shape of a lotus stalk in his left hand, the Bodhisattva wears on its head a 5-pointed jewel coronet, the 5 points of which are adorned with the patterns of pearls. The Bodhisattva wears a deva garment with a shell on the upper part of his body, and a densely pleated long skirt on the lower part of his body. A necklace of jade and pearls in shape of a tassel is crossed below the ring behind his abdomen, hanging down his knees and turning to the back of his body. The Bodhisattva featured with a graceful posture, a vivid expression as well as gorgeous, complicated clothes without untidiness shows a marvelously high artistic level.
Standing Bodhisattva with colored painting and applied gold late northern way to eastern way, 495 to 550.
Standing statue of Buddha with backlights, late Northern Wei Dynasty, 386 to 534 to Eastern Wei Dynasty, 534 to 550. The most special part of the three-dimensional Buddha statue lies in a stripped-back screen on its back, beside which are some traces of carving in its early years, and the bulky tenon at bottom of the statue is rather discordant with its whole posture. Both of these demonstrate that the statue today has been different from its former appearance of three statues of one Buddha and two bodhisattvas in vogue at that time. For the edges and other parts of the statue have been damaged somehow, and hence the Buddhists choose the main part of the statue for deification. The exceeding handsomeness of the statue is marvelous as well. A light in the shape of double-layered lotus petals behind his head. The Buddha with an oblong face, arched eyebrows, almond eyes, a straight nose, and thin lips is looking down with a mysterious smile, receiving the admiration of all living creatures. The whole Buddha statue, exquisitely carved with sharp and forceful lines, is one of the Buddha statues of the highest artistic quality during the period of the Northern Wei Dynasty and the Eastern Wei Dynasty that have been discovered to date.
Standing Buddha with Oriel. This is late northern Wei to eastern Wei. Standing Buddha northern Qi, 550 to 577. Standing Buddha, Eastern Way. He's saying talk to the hand. Okay. Figure of Buddha and two Bodhisattvas dedicated by Zhang Lingfei, second year of Yangshi reign, Northern Wei. There's an inscription on the back. This one's got interesting color, red pattern. Standing Buddha, colored painting, Northern Qi. Image of Kuan Yin with colored painting dedicated by Wu Yixing, first year Wu Ding reign, Eastern Wei, 543. We got another talk to the hand. Oh no, I don't want to hear none of it, okay? Standing Buddha with colored painting and applied gold, Northern Qi. Okay, because I am gilded, and I don't want to have none of y'all impurity. So you will respect my authority. That's what he's trying to say. Maitreya and attendant bodhisattvas dedicated by Fa Xing, Northern Way. It's got a couple lines down here too. Who are these folks up here? Big old Buddha head. The head of a bodhisattva, Tang Dynasty. If you're not aware what a bodhisattva is, someone who's attained enlightenment but not gone to nirvana and stayed on earth to help you. And then there are arhats and luhans, which are usually monks, highly venerated folk who've achieved enlightenment and gone to nirvana. 40 to 64. Buddha
Statue of Meditative Bodhisattva, Tang Dynasty, 618 to 907. The white marble statue of Bodhisattva was excavated in 1972 in the ruins of a temple built in Tang Dynasty in Huoshaozhai, Longxian County, Shanxi Province, where it used to be the private temple of the emperors in the Tang Dynasty. This Bodhisattva statue, probably used by these emperors for deification, is a sculpture of the imperial family in the Tang Dynasty. Seated on a round tall throne, the Bodhisattva is holding up his left leg, bending the left arm with the hand against his cheek, and slightly putting his right hand over his right leg. The meditative appearance of slightly closed eyes and drooping eyelids depicts the scene of Crown Prince Siddhartha seated in meditation under a Bodhi tree vividly and touchingly to a great extent. With his hair combed into a tall bun and two bared feet, the Bodhisattva bared to the waist wears on the lower part of his body a long skirt, whose hem extends to his feet. With his slim waist, abundant buttocks, and moderately fat feet, as well as the chubby face of his broad forehead and full cheeks, the plump figure has a typical artistic style of the Tang Dynasty and embodies the highest standard of stone sculpture during that period.
Standing Bodhisattva, Eastern Wei Dynasty. So the Tang liked them a little chubby. Who doesn't? Like a Buddha with a little meat on his bones. I like a Buddha with a little meat on his bones. Oh, 63.
Standing statue of Bodhisattva, Northern Qi Dynasty, 550 to 577, to the Sui Dynasty, 581 to 618. This three-dimensional Bodhisattva statue was damaged into 9 large pieces and several small pieces during the suppression of Buddhism and buried deeply afterwards. Except for the absence of ornaments in the shape of a round pie on its shoulders, the Bodhisattva statue has reappeared since it was buried more than 1,000 years ago. Compared with the other Bodhisattva statues during the same period, this one has more protruding cheekbones, and a more joyous appearance. The abdomen is tied with the upper part of the skirt outside by a broad belt, which is edged with lianzhu pattern, a traditional Chinese geometric pattern, and divided into several rectangle lattices, the inside parts of which are carved with semi-double lianzhu, Mani orb, and lotus vase. The upper part of his drooping left arm is bending and extending forward, and the left hand is holding a lotus bud between the fingers. The right hand is held up, with the fingers closed and the palm forward, making a fear not mudra. With complicated and magnificent embellishments over all, the Bodhisattva statue of exquisite craftsmanship is a rare and delicate one of the early Chinese stone carving statues of Bodhisattva.
He's saying, fear not, okay? $61.
Statue of Meditation.
Oh no, I ran out of power. Bodhisattva in contemplation. I'll have to contemplate on what he said. It's weird that it ran out of power just one before. Hello. Ran out of power.
Camille.
Yeah. Thank you.
Statue of Meditative Bodhisattva, Northern Qi Dynasty, 550 to 577. The statue of Meditative Bodhisattva showing the Sakyamuni as a crown prince seated under a Bodhi tree for Satori has always been one of the most graceful and popular themes for Buddha statues. However, it is quite difficult to portray a three-dimensional statue of Meditative Bodhisattva due to its complicated posture. There exist only two three-dimensional statues of Meditative Bodhisattva in Qingzhou during the Northern dynasties that have been discovered to date, and the one in front of you is especially rare and precious for its more advanced artistic level. With a five-pointed jewel coronet on the head, ornaments in the shape of a round pie on the shoulders, and a thin, intimate pleated skirt tied around the waist, the Bodhisattva bare to the waist is slightly leaning ahead the upper part of his body, propping up the upper part of his right arm, the lower part of which is incomplete, on his right leg, and drooping his left foot loosely, which successfully manifests the artistic conception of meditative satori. The Bodhisattva has a robust and symmetry figure as well as a decorous and handsome appearance. Despite its simple embellishments, the intense texture of the parts of the hands, feet, and so on shows a high level of art and modeling.
And that's it. Cool. Head of Bodhisattva Tang Dynasty. Very plump. 618-907. The splendors of ancient Chinese art are the glory of the world. Bronze art, the consummate achievement of the early civilization, serenely magnificent and of a profound allure, stands at the pinnacle of perfection, transcending all ages. If they leave another letter in there, they could get in trouble. The P's missing. And what would happen? The F went. In order to promote the distinguished cultural tradition of the motherland, to forward the cause of art and culture, and in order to strengthen the commitment to culture in the corporate environment, the China Poly Group has established the Poly Art Museum and has prepared an inaugural exhibit of selected bronzes and sculpture from the collection. The majority of the bronzes have been recovered from overseas and saved from being lost to the nation. Through their surpassing beauty, imposing grandeur, and sublime mystery, they will lead you back into the artistic world created by China's ancestors. Thank you. Thank you. The Great Hall of the People? Or is that the National Museum? National Museum or Great Hall of the People? I'm not sure. They have a big bell down here. Nice little gift shop and restaurant. Great Wall. This is a bow with dragon pattern, musical instrument, late spring, autumn, early warring states period. Information desk there is where you can get your ticket to go up. It's 20 yuan. This looks like the front of the Time Warner building at Columbus Circle. Big glass curtain wall in front. When did they finish this thing? 2013? They got a little medium density housing community behind them too, huh? Upscale, classy. Cocoon thing there. Dongji-men would be a good hub to live in because you can get buses from here all over and you're pretty close to the Airport Express as well. And there's the Poly Theater, so you could catch some shows without going too far. What's the ABC terminal? I saw that marked off on a map across the street. I'm not sure which it is. It's over there, whatever it is. ABC terminal. So with my remaining time on this planet, what's that gonst to do? Show me the way to go home. It's hard and I wanna go to bed. I had a little drink about an hour ago. It's gone right to my head. Wherever I may roam. You go up to the 9th floor, by the way. Unless there's more on the 10th floor. Maybe there's more on the 10th floor. I didn't know about it. That I'm supposed to go up to. I should go check that out. Maybe there's more to the museum. Because the ticket actually said, or it's something on the wall, I thought. She said like 10th floor as well. Here's my ticket. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. 9th floor. No, that means September. I gotta use the bathroom anyway, so I'll investigate. Tang Dynasty's 5th to 9th centuries represents a dazzling peak in the developmental history of Chinese sculpture. This exhibition of Buddhist sculpture in stone presented by the Poly Art Museum brings together some of the finest masterpieces of Buddhist sculpture in the period. Let's see, 56.
Three statues of Buddha, Eastern Wei Dynasty, 534 to 550. The three statues of Buddha with a back screen have been perfectly preserved, except turned mouth, and making fear not, and which granting mudras with his hands. On both sides of the Buddha is upside hanging a dragon with lotus stalks and lotus leaves in their mouth, and a lotus throne on their heads. On the lotus thrones are standing two attendant bodhisattvas in long skirts with coronets on their heads, smiles on their oblong faces, and musical instruments in their hands. What is rare to see is the paradoxical unity of the stark differences among the embellishments of the two attendant bodhisattvas. The two dragons beside the Buddha, and the lotus stalks and lotus leaves in the dragon's mouth. The images of Buddha, Bodhisattva, dragons, and flying apsaras are all carved in high relief with mellow and majestic techniques. Standing statue of attendant Bodhisattva, Northern Qi Dynasty, 550 to 577. Different from those after the Song and Yuan dynasties.
I finished with the bronzes. It took me like an hour and a half to go through. With the audio guide, there's a lot to see here. It's quite good. Now we're doing sculpture, visual art, 3 dimensions, generally esteemed the purest of art forms, ancient sculptural arts of China, with Buddhist sculpture as their most distinguished representative, have a long tradition and unique character, and occupy a prominent place in the history of world sculpture. In particular, the Buddhist sculpture of Northern and Southern dynasties and of the Sui and
its broken top section featuring two flying apsara sculptures. With an exceedingly high level of art and technology, the exquisitely carved statues as a whole is one of the largest and best preserved back-screen statues of the highest artistic quality of Qing in Eastern Wei Dynasty that have been discovered to date. It is an exceedingly exquisite work of art, which is rare all over the world. With narrowly opened eyes, thin, long curved eyebrows, and slightly closed mouth, The major Buddha standing in the middle is smiling with a slightly